Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to this special interview series. This time we have a very nice person with us, and we are going to focus in our ladies who are the VIPs. Yes, now we rule. So, today we have Katie New with us. And before I keep saying more, Katie, hi, thank you so much for coming up here. So, can you share some words about who you are and what you do and where you're located so people get to know more about you?
Sure, that's great. My name is Kathy New. I'm with a school district in Colorado Springs, Colorado, at the base of Pikes Peak. It's beautiful here, although this morning it's very cold also. Um, I work for the school district. I'm the network communications administrator, so I handle basically anything that has to do with communications. If it has to do with the phones, mass communication systems, everything in WebEx. So that's my focus in there. And again, I've already mentioned where I am in Colorado Springs. As I was telling Hilda just a little bit ago, we're kind of like the forgotten area of the United States because there's not a lot that happens in the Midwest. Although most of you probably heard about Denver. Denver, we're just a little bit south. I'm about an hour's drive south of Denver, Colorado.
Yeah, I have heard about actually that's very popular for ski and snowboarding, right?
Correct. Although I'm not a skier or snowboarder. I was born here. I've lived here all my life. I love the mountains, but I'm not necessarily a winter sports person.
But you admire the landscapes, and that is great.
Definitely.
Okay, so I would like to ask you something, and thank you so much for introducing yourself about Uh, well, how you actually started your career in your life in IT and technology.
I kind of fell into it. So when I first got out of high school, my goal was to work outdoors, be a park ranger or something along those lines. That didn't pan out, so I took some time, probably about 15, 20 years, to figure out what I wanted to do. And a lot of what I did was actually in between was in hospitality. And then I did marketing. I actually worked with US Swimming for 8 years. I was in their marketing department. So I did a lot of marketing. I also helped with their fundraisers, their product development sites. I helped write the coaches' books. If any of you are swimmers, all of those times that you used to do, I had to proofread all those, which is how I kind of got into technology. Because in order to create those coaches' books, I had to learn, it was publisher, I had to learn how to typeset it, set them out, and get them ready for print. And we didn't have anybody at US Swimming that was a tech person that supported us. We had tech people. We had tech people. If you wanted help with your computer, they could help you. They could not help you with any of the software on your computer, which is where I fell in. I started helping others with it, started coordinating classes. So I took that on as my role. And then they took a different direction with my department in US Swimming at one point. So I left there and came to work for School District 11, which is where I've been for almost 25 years now. And I started we had a project mill levy, bond levy, that where we had all wiring put in the buildings, brand new phone system, desk computers for all of the teachers. So my job was to keep all of that organized. I was the administrative assistant for the director that had to schedule all that. Um, and what I kind of did from there is I started helping with the phone stuff. I started focusing a little bit more on that. So my dad was a science teacher, so I kind of have feeling for those things already. It's very logical, which I love logic. So to helping with phone services was very logical. And back then we had our own phone system. It was digital. So we had to troubleshoot all of the network, our own network as opposed to the data network. And since I could follow all of that, I actually ended up taking my degree there. I did not get a degree until I was in my older years. I started that when I was like 38 to 40, I think, is when I went and got a degree. And it's just because it made sense to me. It worked. I could follow it. I could not, my degree was supposed to be in telecommunications. They didn't offer telecommunications degrees. You had to get a network communications degree. So that's what my degree ended up being in. It's very heavily in the telecommunication technology. but you had to take a lot of security classes, a lot of network management basics. So it's very heavy in that technical field, which works perfect with where we are now with IP phones.
Whoa, that's quite a story. You passed from swimming and then you got a really deep dive without knowing to
Correct.
starting from wiring and configurations, and suddenly you were like on this degree and just picking up like the right one and the one who was going to give you more sense and value.
Yes.
And something I really love is, well, Katie, you started this adventure um, in a time in the life that someone says like, "Oh no, I'm done." But no, you just totally destroyed this and said, "No way, this makes sense, and I'm gonna do it." And that's great. Like I give you such a huge applause for this one, and really clap my hands. And I know I don't know what you're thinking in future, but maybe the next year I'm gonna be like, "Hey, Katie, how come you are CCIA right now?" Yeah, it seems like
I've taken different CCNA classes. I just haven't gone and gotten I don't like tests. I like to study. I like to get the knowledge, but I don't like tests. So
oh, I see.
it's not to say
Yeah,
that
but
I didn't do well on them. It's like I got this knowledge, and again, I've been doing this for 25 years. If I was out looking for a job, I would definitely say get those CCNA certifications, get those networking certifications. They're not that hard. I actually do have a certification called Converged Technology Professional. It's a industry certification as opposed to a Cisco specific one. Um, so I do have, I can take the tests. I just, as
yeah,
long
it
as
does
I
not go
know
with
it,
you.
and I'm not job searching, I don't need it. If I was job searching, I would definitely
Yeah.
get the certifications. I need them on my resume. It's not enough for me to say that I know it. I've got to be able to show it on paper.
Cool thing. And this is a great point because sometimes people ask me, is it worth it or not? And I think you just give a point like you can have hands-on experience and practice for any time of years and a certain amount of time, but sometimes there's something how to certify you, hey, this person knows how to do this one or this one, and
Yes,
also just to go back with them like, hey, nothing, something's not working properly, and you got this one that is telling that you know how to or you're supposed to, right? So it even goes for both sides, not only the person who is doing the task or the job, but also the ones who are getting this person to do it just so they can
right,
go for it.
right.
So um well, I think you have said a lot of things, but I guess I can get the answer for this one. But like among all these very interesting paths that you have had, Uh, could you please share with us one of the biggest challenge that you have had and have changed your life, either in your personal or professional instance, so people get to know more about like how we can grow up like people, like person.
Um, I, life is just a challenge in general. So there's so many things that you have to on a daily basis deal with and overcome. I don't think I had necessarily one big challenge. I do have two kids. I ended up raising them by myself, and I actually got my degree while I was doing it by myself. Um, so my family has supported me all through that. Both my kids, even though they were young and somewhat selfish at the time, they still respected me when I told them, that I was studying. And I personally think that it gave them a lifelong learning appreciation for it also to see that their mother at the age that I was at was still taking classes and still seeing the value of that while they were still in elementary and middle school. Um, so the biggest challenge that I have really, I think it's my own challenge, which is that I tend to multitask too much. And so because of that, I have difficulty working with people because we'll be working on one thing, and while we're working on it, if I grasp that, I'll start working on something else, and then they are they still need me for something, and my challenge is keeping myself paced so that I can work well with others. It's a big challenge when you've got different people at different skill levels. And that's my peers, that's my coworkers, as opposed to the people that I have to help. When I have to teach somebody something, I'm usually very patient and I can stay on task with it. But it's when I'm working on projects with people that I tend to not stay focused as well as I should. So I don't have a big challenge. I'm life is so much fun and so many challenges that I don't think of any one as a major hurdle. They all have led me to where I am today, so they are awesome.
Great. And that's is a way to live life, right? So you got today, and what are you gonna do with today? And yeah, tomorrow is coming, but wait, hello, we are here.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
there is
really
one
cool.
thing. I just realized one thing. The biggest challenge when I said that U.S. Swimming took a different path for my position, they actually fired me.
Oh wow.
They wanted to change how they did their alumni program, which I had developed, created, had a database. I took care of everything on it. And two people, um, the marketing director and the executive director, met and decided they wanted to scrap everything I'd done and do something different. They did not. They both knew the position. They had no history on it. And so when I gotten offered the job I'm in now, and I went to them and we had a meeting, and I was like, I'm not comfortable with where we're going. I really think we should stay where we're headed. And they asked me to step out of the room. Um, and when they came to me, they says, we want to fire you. And I said, okay, if you fire me, I'm working on your coach's book for your next Junior Olympics, and it's due in 2 weeks. If you fire me, you have no one else with my skills. I want to stay and work. So even though I was fired, I stayed, finished out those 2 weeks, finished the project. Um, but I was heartbroken that they had totally scrapped the program that I had designed, took it a different direction. Uh, Moral of the story is 5 years later, they went back to running it the way I had it running. So it made me feel a little bit better. But that was a big challenge. But it's the challenge that shaped me. I wouldn't be where I am today if they hadn't done what they did. So again, it's not
Mm,
a challenge. It's just part of life. It's one of those things you accept and move on. Heartbreaking at the time, but that's okay.
indeed. Yeah, sometimes we don't realize like that what's happening with us today is definitely like giving us this shape that you mentioned is shaping us. And now that you mentioned that, it's more than like the Olympics. Perhaps you were like this kind of athlete preparing, and that was not your moment. And almost like 4 or 5 years after, you went for gold, right?
That's
So,
right.
and you were just totally in the podium. So I think this is great, and thank you so much for sharing. And well, now actually talking about podiums, you're actually in the podium in Cisco community right now. And you are a VIP awarded for the first time. So, how did you feel about this? Like, how this
I
happened?
feel
Like,
unworthy. I feel unworthy. I really, I enjoy what I do. I love learning about Cisco and taking what knowledge there is, and sharing it with others, both in the community and of course where I work. Um, I, I was shocked actually when they said I was a VIP. I was like, what did I do? I haven't done anything.
mm,
So, but I'm very honored. I'm very honored to get it, but I feel unworthy for getting it. I think there's a lot more people in the community that do a lot more and have a lot higher skill level than I do, that deserve it bet more than me. So I'm very honored.
well, I'm not gonna wait another 4 or 5 years till you realize that you were in the right path because you are right now. And just to give you an idea, and this is how it actually works out, you have been registered in the community only for 2 years. And maybe you haven't realized about this, but in these 2 years, more than almost 4,000 people have said that you have helped them.
No way.
Yeah. Well, currently you are very close to the 4,000, but imagine that almost 4,000 people have said like, "Whoa, she has helped me," and you have provided more than 300 answers. So
Oh,
now I give you the answer and the reality. You do deserve this VIP, and this program is actually meant for these people around the globe that helps others with their questions, with their life, and you are there for them. So you definitely deserve this one. And actually, I feel really happy because we not often have girls, not only in technology, but also, of course, in the VIP uh, program. But you are the third girl becoming a VIP,
That,
at least
that,
in the Cisco community, in the whole story. And this program
yeah.
has more a decade of story. So imagine this. This is great. And I remember last year I was interviewing another lady. She is actually the youngest uh, a woman to become a VIP, and the second one. And this year we have more. We have three ladies. So now we are making history, and you are part of it. So you totally deserve it.
Well, thank you. I didn't realize, I never look at my profile. I built it and then I left it. And the main reason I built it was to make it so people would have a reference for me. But other than that, my activity, you say that I've helped people, but I have probably gotten that much help from people too. And one of the things that I find really important just being part of that community is to make sure that when somebody has something that's helped me, I make sure that I note that for them. Because the more that I note that it's helping me, it makes it so that other people realize that that is something that they could use for their situations also. So I really like your community. We've actually only had Cisco product since, let's see, 20. Well, let me put it this way. We finished our final implementation in deployment of phones and training for WebEx on March 12th, 2020, and we closed March 13th, 2020 for the pandemic. And we went totally remote at that time. So we had perfect timing to have all the Cisco tools in place to be able to use that for when we had everybody had to stay home. We couldn't have timed it better. I just wish more people in our organization had taken advantage of the training we'd offered earlier, because I can tell you the first few classes that I offered in late March, early April, I had 50, 60, 70 people in my classes trying to learn how to use WebEx because that was what they had to use in order to teach class.
Indeed, and actually, you're a very top contributor in the WebEx community inside the Cisco community. You are actually a WebEx ambassador, and we can even see in your hat. So, well, in your cap, and this is great. Maybe you don't realize, but you were telling me just a few seconds ago, like about this whole challenges from that happened in the pandemic, working from home and this transition, the digital world. And guess what? You are the bridge to make that possible. So thank you very much for that.
It's fun. I really, really do enjoy my job. I tell everybody that all the time. I have the best job. I get to teach teachers, and because of that, I get to impact students. It's breathtaking.
Well, consider me one of your students because, believe it or not, I have learned a lot just in these minutes that we have been talking. And and well, not everything is technology, right? And not everything is the Cisco community. And just to get to know more about you, can you please share with us what do you like? Do you have any hobbies, any interests besides school in technology, WebEx?
Well, with my when my kids were home, they're both out of the house now, but we were very active in Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, and Boy Scouts. So I'm very, very active in that. I still strongly support that. And then my youngest son was very active in athletics. So he was cross country and baseball. Cross country is a very hard sport to watch, but baseball's a ball to watch. And so I'm a Colorado Rockies fan. I go multiple times per year. I'm not season ticket holders, but I do go watch baseball as often as I can. I even just love to watch high school and younger sports. I'll just go watch them because it's a very fun, relaxing, social sport. Um, I also like to watch football, so I don't just restrict myself there with the baseball. Other than that, my personal time, believe it or not, my dad has a cabin that has no power, no electricity, no cell phone service, no nothing. So my way to unwind is to go up there and totally go off grid. I have there again. There's no cell phone service. We have no electricity. Heat is from a wood burning stove. Just go up there, relax, go for hikes, walks, look around. It's beautiful up there. So that's where I go. I love to get up in the mountains. They have a saying, the mountains are calling and I must go. They call me often.
Whoa. Uh, I guess I can hear something of that here as well, but they are kind of far away from me. But I'm pretty sure when I go there, if I get lost or I don't know how to turn on fire by myself, you really know how to do that.
I
So
do.
you will help people even when
Do.
they are.
Part of my passion was I love working with scouts because I got to teach them outdoor skills. Again, my dad's a science teacher, so growing up, I didn't. You didn't go on out with your dad with my dad and just look at isn't that pretty. It would be isn't that pretty? That is a ponderosa pine. You can tell because it has a spine and needles, and I mean it was very everything was educational. So I tend to do that a lot.
Great. And well, that is so cool. You have shaped in so many ways. And well, so lastly, this chatting has been very lovely. But is there any advice? Because sometimes people say, "Hey, I want to become a VIP like Katie, or I want to become a good expert, or I want to endeavor like challenges, or all these kind of things." Any advice you would like to give to people who is looking for career in technology? In your case, for instance, that they say, "Oh no, it's just not my time anymore. It's just like that already passed for me." Any advice that you would like to share?
Well, again, I wasn't even looking to be a VIP. Believe it or not, I didn't even know you had a VIP program. So when I was put on it, I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. But do what you love. Um, don't ever stop learning. That's make sure that there's never a challenge you can't overcome. You have to sit there and take the time. And if you don't get it the first time, don't give up. Go again. Again, my career started. I was thought I was going to be working as a park ranger, and here I am. Not only not working in the outdoors, I'm in technology. Total opposite of what I ever planned for myself, and I did it late. What most people consider late in life. I've still been doing it for over 20 years, so I didn't start that late. Um, but do what you like. Make sure that you have fun. And money isn't everything. A lot of people sit there and go, in fact, my oldest son, he went to pick his college and his career initially because he wanted to make money. This is the job that would pay the most. Well, after a year of school, he went, yeah, that's not for me. Um, and he's right. He is actually now working in the outdoors. Both of my sons are. I instilled that love for them, and they're planning on making careers out of it. So I may not have got that career, but again, I love mine. You've just got to don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. I have had people tell me that, and it actually makes me want to do it more. If it's something that I wanted to do, if it's something I didn't have an interest in, I'm like, you're right, I can't do it. But if it's something I have a passion for, I'm going to do it. You got to let yourself believe in yourself. I tell my kids, I tell everybody this all the time. You are your best advocate. If you need to know what you're capable of and what not let somebody else tell you what you're capable of. Set your own goals.
Well, that's really nice. And thank you very much. Um, and this concludes the interview. Before we go, we are hoping to get to meet you during Cisco Live US. So you have this pass, so let's see how it goes.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I've attended the last couple of years and I always learned something out of those also.
Great. Okay, so thank you, Katie, and then see you next time.
Okay, thank you.